Hey, let's see, why is my picture not there? We are. Hey, everybody, Dr. John Michael Salvato, and welcome to another installment of Inner Alchemy, the science of spiritual living. This is a weekly program that we do that explores a little bit more of the mindset and metaphysical side of success. Today's topic is one that I'm pretty excited about sharing and kind of got caught up in before the program began, and that is relaxing into the flow of things, just relaxing into the awareness that greater possibilities exist for us. Now, I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, I know that it's very easy at times when things just seem to be not going according to schedule, not going according to my plans, to let my filters and memories of the past kind of come forward and put me in a mindset of anxiety. For me, it's not so much a thought that things are not going to work out well, as much as it is a feeling of, oh my gosh, all this is happening now. It's going to mess up all my plans, and that just begins a cycle of not being focused on the present moment, because whenever anxiety hits, you can be absolutely sure of only one thing, and that is that you're not in the moment. It's impossible to be. I've tried, but you can't be anxious in the moment. You can't be anxious when you're fully being present. And I don't know how or why that happens, but I believe that it's part of that true nature, or pure awareness, that you and I are pure awareness, and so in our true nature, when we are in the moment, pure awareness knows that there's nothing to be anxious about. But you could be just 1 second to the left of the moment, and the anxiety's there. You could be 1 second to the right of the moment, and that anxiety will be there as well. And it comes from our projections of our fears of what might happen in the future. It also comes from those, as I said, those impressions that we have that are filters that are self-created, that tell us, well, this is what happened to me in the past, therefore that could happen in the present. And so part of today's mind shift is, and the way that we relax into the present moment, the way that we relax into the possibility, the greater possibilities in our lives, is to recognize first that everything we believe about the past is a myth. So whatever you imagine happened to you in the past is mythology. Now, I know that because we have emotional attachments to some of those events, we have emotional baggage that is, that we've invested good time and good effort, and sometimes even good money in, that it's sometimes hard to let go of those perceptions of the past. Because we've overcome, for example, traumatic experiences in the past, maybe a violent experience of spousal abuse or sexual abuse, or getting beat up on the playground as a kid, and you overcame that. So there's a part of us that then says, well, I'm going to hang on to that because that's evidence of my victory, because I'm not there anymore. But what if the victory could simply be experienced in the present moment, because you're not there anymore? And even if you didn't find the strength and the courage to go on, in this moment, you're not being abused, I hope. You're not being tormented, I hope. And so you're not there anymore either. So even if it's something you're still struggling with, even if it's something that still really hurts, just knowing that you're not there anymore allows you to take that deep breath to, I'm safe in the present moment. I promise you, try it when we're done today. And if you're somebody who feels anxiety, just whenever that anxiety is approaching, say, I choose to bring my awareness to the present moment, and allow yourself to try and find that anxiety in the present moment, because it can't live there. It won't be there. And so then the key then is that, we just keep coming back to that present moment. And I'm not going to tell you that it's something that just happens naturally and automatically and easily. Sometimes I find myself coming back to the present moment, and a couple minutes later coming back to the present moment, because I realize I got ahead of myself or behind myself again. But when we relax into that awareness, we allow ourselves to be in a place where clarity becomes our experience, because your true nature is pure awareness. My true nature is pure awareness. That thing that we call God or the goddess or source or spirit is pure awareness. And when we've got that pure awareness, then clarity becomes our experience. And in that clarity, we see the limitless realm of possibilities. When we're experiencing something that's not working in our lives, we see a limitless realm of possibilities. It's not, okay, this isn't working, so what should I do now? And we only have one possibility. And I'll tell you, there's something going on in the universe, and I'm going to wrap up and let you guys jump in here with some thoughts. But just an observation that in the past week, 11 people that I'm close with, including most, if not all of you, and me, and lots of other people that we mutually know, are all in the exact same spot. And so my suggestion to you is that when anxiety starts to come up and we start to feel like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? Maybe that's not a place to have to be anxious, because maybe that means there is evolution taking place. Our vibrational frequencies are increasing. And so the things that are not working for us will fall away. And that could be a little unsettling. Sometimes my guru used to say that when those things are about to happen in your life that are great, the ground falls out from underneath you. You start to free fall. And that could be unsettling until you recognize that you're pure awareness and you can fly. So that's my just an observation, so that everybody here and everybody who's watching and all of you who are going through that kind of stuff this week, just know that you're in good company, and maybe some folks here will share some things they're going through, and maybe some that are watching this will share it in the comments. But you're in good company, and in that good company, we can affirm that there is greater possibilities awaiting for us, that's all around us, that you're in an ocean of greater possibilities. And it's only when you just allow yourself to relax, if you're really tense and you're drowning, you're probably going to drown. But if you relax, you float to the surface and you realize that you're safe. So guys, jump in and give some feedback on that. I know that I just told Robert what the topic was about 4.5 minutes before we started. So this is one of those things where it was really all about Robert. I was telling these guys that the reason I didn't tell you to 4.5 minutes before is I was playing with TCP, and I was in there making funnels and doing autoresponder. And I was so relaxed in the moment, I forgot that I had a life and obligation. So,
oh, that's great. I love to hear that. I want to share my story real quickly on this one. As I've had a very full morning, I've been doing the work that I always do on Friday mornings. I have a couple of clients, coaching clients that are always Friday mornings. And I always have a half an hour between the end of that last session and this call and this experience. And today I also got a little distracted, and I ended up floating into one of those places in the internet where you probably ought not to be, because I got one of those pages that beeps and screams at you and warning, you have a virus. If you close this page, your whole, your hard drive will be erased and data. And I know it's all hype. I know it's all bull. I know it's not real. And yet they build those things in a way that unless you call them, and if you call them, then they've got you. Then they really do take your machine, and then you really do erase your hard drive. But I know that those initial warning pages are just the scam. And so I had to do a hard boot. And so as I'm hard booting, then the message comes through my phone from John Michael. Our topic today is going with the flow. And I'm like, oh, how appropriate. And I'm going to really just sit here and trust that I make it onto that call. And And so the computer's rebooting, and the computer was up in time. It was 2 minutes until, but then Google Hangouts wouldn't let me in. And I just sat there with that very wonderful little green thing going ding, 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 and not letting me into the call. And I'm sitting there laughing to myself because I could have gotten worked up. I could have gotten all upset. I could have started judging myself. Oh shit, I'm letting people down. You know, I promise I'll be there. I'm not living into my. There's so many roads I could have gone down. And we're talking about 5 minutes of my life here, right? 5 minutes. And I just sat here and laughed. And I sent John Michael a couple of chats to say, hey, I'm working on it. Not sure what's going on, but I'll be there. And it reminds me, and this is what I really want us to think about today. I love what John Michael said, right? Our past has no power. And what I really want us to remember is that everything necessary for the fulfillment of our mission on this planet, everything necessary for the fulfillment of your mission on this planet comes to you exactly as it's necessary. And so if I had not been here today, it would have been very clear to me that it just was not necessary. Now, staying in the moment and being present to that moment, being in that place of pure awareness, is a constant practice. I got a chance to practice that for those 5 minutes today. To be conscious to the fact that my computer is not under attack. To be conscious to the fact that it will reboot in time. To be conscious of the fact that if my voice was to be heard in this room, it will be heard. And it is, so it must have been necessary. For me, for you, for each one involved in this experience. What I find, however, is for far too many people out there, we get stuck in our stories. And we get stuck in the one perspective that we've gained. This is what has to happen before anything else can happen. This is what I've got to do before I can do that. Folks, I'm here to tell you that in this giant universe, there is no such thing as time and space. Not in the mind of God. We create that. And so we create our own experience around that. The real truth is, and you all know me, the truth is, I don't want to hear your story. More importantly, I don't need to hear your story. Now, as a spiritual guide and as a facilitator, I will listen to your story. But I'm not listening for what happened in the past. What I'm listening for is whether you give power to that or not. If you're allowing a weird website, if you're allowing an old relationship, if you're allowing some story, something that happened to you in the past, well, I flash back to that great little sketch by Bob Newhart. Stop it. Don't allow your past to have any power over where you're going in the future. Right? I want to hear, when I listen to stories, I want to hear what you learned from that story. I want to hear what you learned that moves you forward. For myself, it's to remember not to go wandering off into the deep, dark back alleys of the internet 5-10 minutes before you've made a commitment to be somewhere. Because this is a world of unlimited possibilities. And in that unlimited world, we truly create the experiences of our lives in a moment by moment by moment basis. Now, I'm not a surfer. I'm not a real big water guy. I tend to, if me and water are going to get together, it usually has to be about 104 degrees and there needs to be bubbles. Right? You're not going to catch me going off the high dive. You're really not going to catch me scuba diving. But there's a great analogy. Because I can spend my life, if I were a surfer, I can spend my life on that surfboard worrying about a tidal wave full of sharks behind my head. They're going to come crashing down and eat me up. That is our past. If it's behind you, let it be behind you. Don't concern yourself if there's a shark or a whole bunch of sharks in that tidal wave behind you. Focus on the ride. Focus on where that wave is taking you. So I invite you today, right, go with the flow. Is not just, I'm just going to wake up and not do a damn thing and just, if somebody, no. Going with the flow requires us to be able to take consistent action, intentional action, and to be moving ourselves in the direction of where we want to be, and giving really no concern to the story about where we have been. And what I know is when I'm not concerned with the tidal wave full of sharks, what I'm looking at is a beautiful ocean with a beautiful beach, and I'm looking at my destination. I'm looking at where I want to be. So I want you this week to remember two things. Number one, everything necessary for the absolute fulfillment of your mission on this life comes to you exactly as it's necessary. Part of that, what it means is if it's not in your life right now, it's just not necessary. When it is, it will be. Number two, I want you to get adamant with your no. N-O. I want you to get adamant with being able to say no to the limiting beliefs, to saying no to buying into your own BS about your history and about what you can or can't do. I want you to get adamant and say, no, that is not the truth of me. That is not the truth of my experience. The truth of me is I am an abundant being. And so, we just went through the end of the month, and if last week you were sitting around thinking, man, there's just not enough month to go, or not enough money for the month. No. If you find yourself saying, I'm broke, no. If you find yourself saying, I can't do this, no. If you start saying, I don't know how, this isn't working for me, no. Be adamant with your no. Deny the limitations that you think are happening in your life, that you think are controlling you, and give power to your yes. Give power to your what's next. Give the power to what you want to experience in life. And if you're not sure what that is, well, that's the work we do here, right? That's part of my coaching program, and it's part of the visioning process that I teach. And there's all kinds of great modalities to get clear, to get to that place of clarity. This is my yes. This is what I will say yes to no matter what. I say yes to my prosperity. I say yes to my success. I say yes to my forward growth. And I'm real clear that I can say no to anything that seems that I think is holding me back, or that I let hold me back. Everything necessary comes to us as it's necessary, and there's a lot of power in saying no to our own limitations. So I invite you into that practice this week. And whether you're watching live or whether you're listening to this at a later time, I invite you to put it in the chat box on the blog. Share with us, what is it? What is your sacred story? What are you saying yes to? And if it helps, what are you saying no to? Let's go out and create a new life together. Let's go out and expand this life. I've sort of about a year ago, I adopted a little phrase that I had let go of for a while. I was using it when I was serving a church in the Pacific Northwest, and I would end every service by saying this, and I let it go for a little while, and I'm bringing it back. Go forth and prosper. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. That was awesome. That was well worth the price of admission. Jennifer, I'd love to hear from you. I know that I first of all want to acknowledge you because, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but it takes tremendous courage and it takes tremendous leadership to put yourself out there and be vulnerable and say, here's my stuff, and to let the community come around you and support you and say, yes, this is what we love about you, or at times, even when it might feel uncomfortable to do so, to be in the position to have the privilege to say to you, no, Jennifer, that's not true about you. I know something greater about you. And that really takes some serious courage, some serious commitment to your practice, and leadership, to be willing to be that vulnerable. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for having done that this week. That was no small feat, and you rock even more. So let me turn your microphone back on before the echo factor starts, and I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on this.
Oh, first of all, wow. Between you and Robert, I'm over here. I don't know if you can tell my ears are turning about as red as the stripes behind my head here. Wow. Yeah, I had a whole bunch of words, and now I'm feeling like Hero from Big Hero 6. They're going, empty, hollow head. Yeah, wow. No, when I started the writing thing, the one thing I wanted to be, and I've always been this person, I am so transparent, you could hold me up to the sun and see everything that's running through me. I don't like shady people. One of my favorite phrases is, darling, you need some sun because you're a little shady. I was in that relationship for 13 years of someone who would, put on this mask and put on this mask and put on this mask. And it's like, who's the person underneath? I didn't want to be that person. And unfortunately, being in that relationship, I had to wear masks too, to keep everybody from knowing what was going on behind the closed doors. That was one of the reasons I wrote the book I wrote, because it's like, I want to blow the doors off. At this point, we're living in, we got our beds outside. Everyone's going to see what's going on. And that was a huge issue, because I still have, unfortunately, a relationship because we have a child together. And, it was one of those, oh God, what if? And I kept, going into the past. And while being in the past, I was thinking about the future, and I wasn't thinking about, right now, someone's got to hear your words. Someone's got to read this. Someone has to hear this message right now. I was so busy being, 10 years ago, being told, very similar to what Trump has said to women, hearing that message and thinking, oh God, in 10 years, is some guy going to be saying this to my kid? And I was so scattered back and forth, like watching Pong. I wasn't in the middle. I wasn't there. I wasn't where I needed to be. I've been having the same problem. I'm doing NaNoWriMo. I don't know why I figured doing NaNoWriMo while potty training a toddler was a brilliant idea. 1,700 words a day in between peanut butter waffles, chicken nuggets, mommy potty, and it's like, oh God, I'm literally being pulled out of my moments. But yesterday it wasn't so bad, because I literally stood looking at 5 words on a page for an hour. So it's like, okay, yeah, let's do this. And once I stepped back and said, you know what? This isn't written in stone. Let me go to the next thing. And I literally said, okay, what's next? And I looked, and it's like, oh, what am I grateful about? Food? Hell yeah! Banged out 1,700 words in an hour. I was just like, dude, really? I had some really good lines, something to the effect of confectioner sugar on mirrors because I need my fix. But just sitting there, it's like, you have to be present. Yeah, and I do get pulled into the past a lot. My anxiety does get a hold of me. You start thinking about nonsense you said 5 minutes ago, 5 years ago. It's like, dude, nobody else remembers this. And this is the same stuff I've had to talk to with my daughter. teenage years suck. You're going to remember every little nuance that has happened to you. Nobody else will, because they're too busy remembering every little nonsensical thing that happens to them. They're not going to remember that you got shoved into a locker on September 14th at 3 o'clock and that someone stole your backpack the next day. They're not even going to remember that they're the ones that stole your backpack. 10 years later, they're going to send you a friend request on Facebook, though. Yeah, they're not going to remember that you are. Now, it's your deal. Do you think about it? Or do you sit there and go, hey, you're not that same person anymore. Yeah, let's see what your life is like. Oh, you're a train wreck too. Right on. You know, staying very present it's difficult, especially, if you've got anxiety and depression and things like that. But the thing is, you've got them, they don't have you. So you really need to put them in their place. It's like, I don't have time for the anxiety. I don't have time for the depression monster. You guys go sit in the corner where you belong and let me get my shit done, because that's just what I have to do. And potty training toddlers do not wait for anxiety, nor do they wait for the end of a sentence or a thought. So that's where I got.
Right on. Thank you so much. Robert, you going to say something? Okay. Well, Jen, I want to thank you for that. And yeah, it's really helpful, like you just said, when those emotions do arise, when the anxiety arises, when the depression arises. One of the things Louise Hay used to tell us in the hay rides was, when that happens, just gently acknowledge them like they were an old friend who just dropped by, but you're really busy, and say, thank you, depression, for stopping by. I really don't have time for you right now, and let them go. And picture them in your mind as that friend, because depression brings with it a message for us. Anxiety brings with it a message for us. Usually the message is bullshit, but just like that friend who stops by and they don't really have anything of any value to bring. They just knock on the door. Oh, I want to see what you were doing. Well, I'm doing life. Thanks for stopping by, but I got to go take care of my toddler and get him on the toilet, or I got to go make dinner, or I got to go write my book, or whatever it is. And you just gently and kindly, but compassionately say, thanks for sharing, but I've got what I need. Picture them, if you will. My analogy that I can only talk about when Craig's not here, although he'll see this later, so I don't know why it should matter. But he comes from a family of Jehovah's Witnesses, and my analogy has always been to treat anxiety and tension and stress like Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't chase them off my door. I'm not mean to them, because that's their thing, that's their path, and that's one of their responsibilities, in their opinion. And so I just say, hey, thanks for sharing, and I hope you have a really full, rich, and blessed life. But I've got what I need right now. And I let them go. Anxiety comes up, thanks for sharing, but I've got what I need right now. I've learned the lesson, and I let you go. Katrina, jump on in. Let's hear something from you, from your perspective out there on the left coast.
The left coast. Well, it's been quite an interesting week for me since last Friday, as you are aware, having to do with the alphabet soup people. And so I've been I've been having to deal with that. And so that's been my present moment. And definitely I have the opportunity to jump into anxiety or frustration or just flat out anger about what's happening there. And so lots of opportunity to remind myself that everything is really okay. And, in this present moment, I do have everything I need. I have shelter, I have food, I have internet connection, I have, so I have friendship, support. So truly, if I'm in the moment, I am fine, and there is no stress. And so that is I feel like that's the gift in this whole dance this week is, do I give in to the the very palpable possibility of going into all these emotional states, or do I come to rest in my deeper being, which is always at peace? And preferably, I want to choose the peaceful depths of beingness to reside in, and deal with what I have to day to day. And so I also feel, that there have been a number of opportunities in the last 6 months, I'd say, that have looked very promising, and then within some weeks or a couple of months prove not to be the direction. So I feel like I'm very much in the present moment, asking for clarity and direction on what my forward movement is the next thing. And there are some things in play that appear to be that solid direction. It's just the matter of timing to get launched. But overall, one thing that occurred to me that happened actually a day or two ago, might have been yesterday or the day before. I, at this point, lose track a little bit. But I was feeling like this, there's a tendency to want to fix my situation, and oh my God, this must all be my fault, and what have I done to bring this about, or what have I not done to bring this about, and just saying, enough, silence, quiet, as Robert was suggesting, saying no, and it very clearly came to me that that in that moment there was nothing to do except be and allow things to unfold, because they will unfold and reveal and come solidly into manifestation if I just relax and go with the process. So and sometimes there are steps that I clearly need. This is my next step, and so that's what I attempt to be present to. And so hopefully today, my next step with this week-long process will be to complete the paperwork that I need to, so I can put it aside and refocus on moving forward. So anyhow, today's topic is certainly relevant. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. And before we wrap up, I just want to acknowledge and say hello to Ita. Glad you could make it today. Guys, I want to thank you for taking the time to really kind of give this consideration today, because a lot of times when we allow ourselves, the closing thought I want to leave you with is that when you allow yourself to really relax into that greater possibility, it means not obsessing about, well, what do I do next? Yesterday or 2 days ago, we talked about what next, but today we're talking about the other side of that same coin, which is just relaxing into not worrying about what's next, but just being here now, and just allowing this moment to open up. The what next then takes care of itself. When we relax into the moment, the possibilities for what next appear in front of us. When we're not in the moment, then we're projecting, we're trying to create the possibilities of what next out of fear, or out of past experiences, or out of just insane projections, delusions. But when we relax in the moment, the what next, all of that limitless realm of possibility presents itself to us. And so today we're making that decision. We're accepting greater possibilities, and we're recognizing that that acceptance is the only thing that really makes a difference between experiencing a fuller life or continuing to manifest a path of struggle. And so let's just close our eyes. Let's just get comfortable. Let's just come to a place of peace and knowing. We call that place of peace and knowing God, or the goddess, spirit, or creative intelligence. It's that place where infinite presence where only good exists. And so let's know that the all-loving nature of our pure awareness pours itself into all of creation as a whole. So that right here in the present moment, we see clearly that everything is perfect, everything's complete, and everything is an endless demonstration of that infinite good that's waiting to express itself in us, through us, and all around us. Let's know that we are one with that source. We are one with that perfect awareness. And that we are therefore a perfect expression of the good happening in the world around us right now. Every cell, every part, every aspect of our being knows and operates and continues to express that knowledge in the form of our external lives and our internal lives. And so as we begin to open ourselves to this awareness of this oneness, our bodies begin to heal ourselves. Our experiences begin to heal ourselves. Our finances begin to heal ourselves. And so realizing that the only thing that stands between me and the greater possibilities that await me are my thoughts. And so now I just surrender anything that pretends to express itself as the only possibility in my life. I surrender anything that contradicts that awareness that I am one with my source. And I honor that creative intelligence by accepting the greater possibilities for myself and for everyone around me as I perceive a limitless ocean of goodness waiting for me, waiting for them, and waiting for all people. I accept that this is the one truth of my being, that I am one with my source, and that I am the expression of greater possibilities for the world around me. And so I give thanks for the fulfillment of this truth in advance, because I know that truth and truth alone is what sets me free. And I release my word into the law, knowing that it returns to me abundantly multiplied, in me, through me, and all around me. And that law has no course of action but to demonstrate in my experiences and the experiences of those that I love and those that I touch. And so it is done. And so it is.
And so it is.
Thanks, guys, for being here. Thanks for taking time to consider these thoughts. I hope that they've been helpful and useful for you as much as they have been for me to take this time today and to really allow ourselves to just kind of have fun with this. And that's what I encourage you to do, to stay in the moment, to recognize that that's not just where the point of power is. It's where the fun is, too. And to always remember the best is yet to come. Love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Robert, stick around. We'll talk afterwards.
Absolutely. Peace and blessings all.